Hello, and welcome to the September 2023 edition of Florida by the Numbers. I'm Sheridan Meek, Senior Research Economist at the Florida Chamber Foundation, here to update you on the latest metrics that matter to securing Florida's future. Taking a high-level look at Florida's economy, there have been many changes over the last month. Current labor market statistics were released, as well as updates on the housing market, Floridians' outlook on the economy, and the latest tourism figures. These metrics and more are tracked on the floridascorecard.org. Now, let's give some context to what is happening in Florida's economy. Looking first at Florida's labor market, employment is nearing 9.8 million, with nearly 9.78 million jobs in August of 2023. This is an increase of 14,600 from last month and over 270,000 annually. Florida has seen year-over-year gain every month since April of 2021. However, after recovering to pre-pandemic employment levels in October of 2021, that job growth has been slowing. This trend persisted in August, as the growth rate was 0.4% lower than in July. However, the national growth rate also fell by 0.2%, and Florida's growth continues to outpace the country. July's month-over-month job gain was 14,600, an increase of 0.1%. The monthly job gain has remained positive, but has fluctuated from month to month. Job gain this month only slightly increased, after a much more significant increase of over 40,000 last month. Monthly figures are much more susceptible to fluctuation, so this shift is not alarming, especially as Florida continues to see overall job gains and growth in 7 of the 8 major industries. Annual growth rates give a better picture of the trends in the economy. And as mentioned earlier, the 2.8% growth rate in August is a decline from the month prior. Breaking it down by sector, the information industry, which has been fluctuating between growth and decline in recent months, was the only sector to see a slight decline. There has not been a consistent pattern in the sectors that have experienced decline each month, leaving us without evidence of a particular trend. However, the education and health services and leisure and hospitality industries have seen the most annual growth in recent months. Shifting our focus to unemployment, the number of unemployed Floridians increased by 8,000 from July to August, and the unemployment rate remained at 2.7%. This increase in unemployment was also coupled with a high number of open jobs, narrowing Florida's gap between available workers and open jobs. Currently, for every 100 jobs needing workers, 65 Floridians are looking for work. Our team has analyzed the open jobs data for the 10 most populous states in the U.S., and we have seen that this challenge is not unique to Florida. Other states, such as Georgia, are also experiencing a labor shortage, although a less severe one, as Georgia currently has 75 unemployed individuals seeking work for every 100 open jobs. Texas, a state with a comparable population and economy, remains in the middle, with 95 unemployed job seekers per 100 open jobs. And lastly, New York sees a different labor market challenge, with more unemployed people seeking work than open jobs, 126 job seekers per 100 open jobs. Florida's consumer sentiment measures Floridians' outlook on the economy and has been fluctuating in recent months. Consumer sentiment saw a spike in August, up 0.8 points from July. Despite remaining lower than the consumer sentiment during the pandemic, it has been on the rise from this time last year. This increase was due to a more positive view of personal finances from a year ago, as well as Floridians' outlook on the national economy. This makes sense with the slow decline in inflation and steady labor market. As I mentioned earlier, Florida continues to add jobs, but at a slower pace, which can actually help reduce the chances of a recession. The local and national consumer sentiment have been moving in different directions for a few months, and again this month, Florida increased while the U.S. decreased. Since June, the national outlook has been more positive than the state outlook, which hasn't been the case for over a year. However, this month's change is closing that gap. Let's now analyze what's going on with the housing market, which continues to cool. July's 22,198 single-family housing sales figure was another decline from the previous month. And beyond the monthly decline, the 12-month rolling average has seen a downward trend since June of 2021. Despite this decline in demand, the prices have remained consistent in recent months. This month's median sale price was $415,000, which is 0.7% higher than July of last year, and up over 50% from early 2020. This decline in sales, coupled with consistently high prices, is likely due to prevailing high mortgage rates as consumers await a decrease in interest rates. Tourism data for quarter 2 of this year has been released, and Florida's tourism industry remains strong, although figures are slightly below this time last year. Breaking it down by the numbers, there were 33.1 million visitors to Florida in quarter 2, which is 1.2% behind last year's figure. The decline was driven by a drop in domestic visitors, as Florida saw a large increase in Canadian and overseas visitors, 20.8% and 11% respectively. This comes after quarter 1 saw 3.6% more visitors than the year prior. With that in mind, as well as the overall upward trend since the pandemic, this slight decline is not likely a sign of things to come. As we look to the future of Florida and things to come, the 2023 Florida Chamber Annual Meeting and Future of Florida Forum is quickly approaching. At this event, Florida's business leaders, elected officials, education, workforce, and community advocates will unite around the Florida 2030 Blueprint's 6 Pillars framework to address what's needed to ensure Florida's residents, businesses, and economy win the race to 2030 and beyond. You can register yourself and your team today via the QR code on the screen. The FloridaScorecard.org is updated regularly and continues to track the metrics discussed today, in addition to hundreds of other state and county metrics. The Florida Scorecard and our team's accompanying research and analysis on these metrics are made possible by the leadership of the Florida Chamber Foundation's Community Development Partners. To stay up to date on the metrics that matter to securing the future of Florida as soon as they are released, there are a couple of ways you can stay connected. Follow @FloridaBTN on Twitter, where updated figures and accompanying analysis are tweeted instantly. Also, be sure to check the FloridaScorecard.org on a regular basis. Updated metrics are added as soon as available to help Florida's leaders lead. If you have any questions regarding the topics covered today or the work of the Florida Chamber Foundation, please reach out to me or any member of the Foundation team through the information on the screen. From everyone at the Florida Chamber, thanks for tuning in for another update on the metrics that matter as we work to move Florida to a top 10 global economy by 2030. Join us again in October for another edition of Florida by the Numbers.